Okay, it feels like we need lots of breath right now, just getting back into the routine, feeling that breath, just our natural breath, but also at the same time bringing the awareness of how that breath is affecting the rest of our bodies. Because when we breathe, even just naturally, we realize how much of our body is impacted by the breath. And we could use the breath as also a calming mechanism for us. We often notice just naturally that if we've been stressed and we finally give in to sitting down, we take a deep breath. Oh, glad that's over with, kind of thing. It's a natural part of what we do, and of course, keeping us alive. But it's also a metaphor for us to be able to tap into our breath and use it almost like a body scan as we breathe in. And then as we're slowly letting it go, letting it out, we can imagine that breath cleansing, cleansing each part of our body as it goes from our lungs all the way down to our toes, almost like a body scan. And then also from our lungs as we breathe in, almost as if it's going up into our heads and then cleansing on the way down. The beauty of the breath, the calming of the breath, the cleansing and the life giving force. And even sometimes when we are rushed and we become short of breath because we're hurrying, or because we're anxious and we take a deep breath in, sometimes our breath can be impacted. And when we get worried about that shortness of breath or quickness of breath, whatever is worrying us can make that breathing a little bit more difficult. And so we can just notice that right now I'm a little short of breath, or right now my breath has speeded up because I'm feeling anxious. We can choose to go into the present moment to quiet that voice that's telling us our breath is too fast or our breath is too short. We just stop and pay attention and drop into our natural breath. Knowing what our natural breath feels like. Because when we're intentional, we're going to notice the difference between a shortness of breath and a rapid breath and our natural breath. When we allow our minds to be still enough to focus only on the breath, we can control that shortness and rapid breath. And that change in breath is often associated with stress. It's associated with anxiety and worry. It's associated with many emotions. And yet we can choose in that moment to drop into the breath to change whatever that emotion is hijacking us to something more peaceful and calm. And when we are noticing the breath and we are intentionally changing the kind of breath we are feeling in the moment, we also want to simultaneously bring our awareness to our entire body, to the effect that it is having on all parts of us. Because when I'm intentionally calming my breath and becoming aware, my mind is not racing anymore to the future or to the past. Instead, it's simply focused on the rising and falling of the chest, perhaps noticing, is it through my nose or my mouth? And noticing, how does the breath and my attention to the breath affect where my shoulders are? Are they up around my ears because I'm feeling tense? Or can I relax my breath while relaxing my shoulders? I can imagine the breath going from my lungs to my arms and down my arms, all the way down to my fingertips. I can imagine the breath from my lungs going down through my torso, past my heart center into my abdomen, my upper abdomen, my lower abdomen. I can imagine the exchange of breath energy there as I notice not only my chest rising and falling, but my diaphragm expanding and contracting. I can notice the feeling of my breath going further down, all the way down into my legs, my upper legs, my lower legs, all the way down to my feet, to my toes. Because that breath not only has a relaxation component, but a cleansing one too. And the breath allows me to open my heart and also open my body posture, because sometimes I can be hunched over or not allowing that energy to flow. So when I set intention for the breath, I can sit tall, pull back my shoulders, and open my chest. And imagine the breath as that flow of energy. Imagining the energy flowing through my entire body without being blocked by something that's there. And that something that's there can be something that is totally unconscious to us. And when we allow ourselves and set our intention for watching our breath and our energy, we are giving ourselves permission to just notice what's there. And in that noticing, it might be an energy block, it might be an emotional block, it might just be some fatigue. But we have to be careful that when we notice these little things in our body, that we don't become hyper focused on it. We simply notice, we breathe into it, and we might use all or any or all of the tools that we have to release it. It can be breathing it out. It can be imagining putting it in the cloud and letting it drift away. It can be talking it out or drawing it out. But always with awareness and intention. So let's sit for the next number of moments in silence as we become aware of the impact of our breath on our bodies, on our energies. Noticing how we feel right now in the present moment. And then continuing to notice without getting attached. So we'll sit in silence until you hear my voice again. May our minds be still. May our bodies be strong. And may our spirits be lifted.